Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the TCS Leviathan and looked out at the stars. A massive ship moved through space like a sleeping giant. Its hull stretched over 2 kilometers long and was covered in thick armor plates that could stop almost anything. Weapon arrays lined every surface of the ship. The bridge sat high above the main hull and gave Jake a perfect view of everything around them as the Kepler expanse stretched out before them. Purple and blue gases swirled in the distance. Stars twinkled through the cosmic dust. Jake had seen many beautiful sights during his 20 years in space, but this nebula was special. The colors seemed to dance and change as they watched. Lieutenant Commander Lisa Brooks sat at her station nearby. Her fingers moved quickly over the tactical display. She had been monitoring their surroundings for the past 6 hours. The ship was on a routine patrol along the edge of human space. They were testing new quantum drive systems and making sure no pirates or hostile forces were in the area. The bridge was quiet except for the soft hum of computers and life support systems. Jake liked these peaceful moments. The Leviathan was the most powerful ship humanity had ever built. It carried enough firepower to level a small moon. But right now, it was just cruising through empty space on a simple mission. Dr. Alex Turner worked at the science station. He was analyzing the nebula's composition and looking for anything unusual. The doctor was young, but very smart. He had joined the crew only 6 months ago, but had already proven himself valuable. His job was to study everything they encountered and report back to Earth. The crew of 3,000 people went about their daily tasks throughout the massive ship. Engineers maintained powerful reactors. Gunners checked the weapon systems. Medical staff took care of anyone who needed help. Kitchen crews prepared meals for everyone. It took a lot of people to keep such a huge ship running smoothly. Jake had been captain of the Leviathan for 3 years. Before that, he had commanded smaller ships on exploration missions. This assignment was the biggest honor of his career. The ship represented the best of human technology and engineering. Every system was designed to be better than anything else in space. The quantum drives were new technology. They could push the ship faster than old fusion engines. The armor could withstand direct hits from nuclear weapons. The shields could deflect energy beams and particle weapons. The main guns could punch holes through asteroids. But Jake hoped they would never need to use most of these systems in actual combat. Lisa suddenly looked up from her display. Her face showed concern as she studied the readings. She had detected something at the edge of their sensor range. The signals were faint, but definitely artificial. They did not match any known human technology or natural space phenomena. Jake walked over to her station. The tactical display showed 12 small contacts moving toward their position. The objects were still very far away, but getting closer. Their energy signatures were unlike anything in the human database. The shapes looked wrong, too. Human ships were usually long and narrow. These contacts appeared more rounded and smooth. Dr. Turner confirmed the readings from his science station. The objects were definitely ships of some kind. Their construction used materials and energy patterns that human science had never seen before. The propulsion systems created unique distortion. Fields in space-time. There was no doubt these were alien vessels. Jake felt his heart beat faster. First contact with alien life had always been a possibility, but nobody expected it to happen like this. The ships approaching them were clearly advanced and potentially dangerous. The Leviathan's crew had trained for this situation, but theory was very different from reality. The alien fleet belonged to the Zephyrian Collective. Admiral Kethvar commanded the group from his flagship. He was a tall being with blue-gray skin and large dark eyes. His people had been watching human expansion for several months. They had intercepted human communications and studied their technology from a distance. The Zephyrians thought humans were a young species with basic space travel capabilities. Their intelligence reports suggested human ships were small exploration vessels with limited defensive systems. They had planned this first contact mission very carefully. 12 ships seemed like enough to make an impressive showing without appearing threatening. Admiral Kethver expected to meet a small human ship with maybe 50 crew members. His fleet would demonstrate Zephyrian technology and offer to begin diplomatic relations. The encounter should be peaceful and beneficial for both species. He had no idea what was actually waiting for them in the nebula. The Leviathan continued to emerge from the colorful gases. More and more of its massive hull became visible to the approaching aliens. The ship's adaptive armor adjusted its color to match the surrounding space. Weapon turrets tracked across their fields of fire in routine maintenance cycles. Shield generators hummed with barely contained energy. Jake ordered yellow alert throughout the ship. Warning lights began flashing in corridors and compartments. Crew members moved to their battle stations just in case. The ship's computer systems went to higher readiness levels. Weapons came online, but remained powered down. Jake wanted to be ready for anything, but did not want to appear hostile. Lisa worked to get better sensor readings on the alien ships. The contacts were still approaching, but had slowed down significantly. They seemed to be scanning the Leviathan just as intensively as the humans were scanning them. Both sides were clearly trying to figure out what they were dealing with. Dr. Turner began preparing first contact protocols. Earth had developed these procedures years ago in case this day ever came. The basic plan was to transmit mathematical concepts and physical constants. These universal truths should be understandable to any advanced species. From there, they could hopefully build more complex communication methods. The distance between the two fleets continued to shrink. The alien ships were now close enough for detailed scans. They were definitely military vessels, but their weapons seemed much smaller than human equivalents. The largest alien ship was only about 400 meters long. The Leviathan dwarfed them completely. Jake realized the aliens had probably made the same mistake as humans often did. They had underestimated their opponents. The alien fleet was designed to impress a primitive species with basic technology. Instead, they were facing humanity's most advanced warship. The situation could become very dangerous very quickly. The bridge crew worked quietly at their stations. Everyone understood how important this moment was for all of humanity. First contact would change everything. How they handled the next few hours could determine whether humans and aliens became friends or enemies. The weight of that responsibility fell heavily on Jake's shoulders. The Leviathan's massive bulk finally cleared the nebula completely. All 2 kilometers of advanced human engineering hung in space before the alien fleet. Weapon arrays that could destroy cities pointed in every direction. Armor thick enough to stop nuclear weapons gleamed under the starlight. The ship looked exactly like what it was, instrument of war built by a species that took conflict very seriously. Admiral Kethvar stared at his displays in growing shock. This was not the small exploration vessel his intelligence had predicted. This was a dreadnought-class warship that exceeded anything in Zephyrian databases. His carefully planned first contact mission had just become something much more complicated and potentially deadly. Admiral Kethver felt his confidence drain away as he stared at the massive human vessel. The tactical display showed a ship that was 5 times longer than his flagship. The energy readings were impossible to believe. The human ship's power output matched his entire fleet combined. This was not what Zephyrian intelligence had told him to expect. Sub-Commander Yathal worked frantically at her station. She was trying to analyze the human ship's capabilities, but the computer kept giving error messages. The vessel exceeded all known classifications in their database. Its weapon arrays were larger than most Zephyrian ships. The armor appeared thick enough to withstand their heaviest weapons. The shields glowed with energy levels that should have been theoretical. Kethver had commanded fleets for 30 years. He had seen every type of warship in known space. The massive human vessel before him was unlike anything he had ever encountered. Its design philosophy was completely different from galactic norms. Where most ships tried to balance speed and firepower, this monster seemed built purely for overwhelming force. On the bridge of the Leviathan, Jake watched the alien ships carefully. They had stopped advancing and appeared to be conducting intensive scans. The aliens were clearly as surprised by this encounter as the humans were. Jake hoped that surprise would not lead to panic or aggressive action. Lisa studied her tactical display with growing concern. The alien ships had activated their targeting systems. 12 separate weapon locks painted the Leviathan's hull with scanning beams. Standard military doctrine said this was a hostile act. Any ship that targeted another vessel was preparing to attack. But Jake knew the aliens might just be trying to understand what they were facing. The alien weapons were small compared to human systems, but they could still cause damage. Lisa calculated that the combined firepower of 12 ships could penetrate the Leviathan's shields if they concentrated their fire. The ship's armor would protect vital systems, but the battle would be costly for both sides. Dr. Turner worked desperately to establish communication with the alien fleet. His computers analyzed the scanning beams and radio transmissions coming from the alien ships. The signals used complex mathematical patterns, but followed logical rules. He began building a translation matrix based on universal physical constants. First breakthrough came when Turner identified numerical sequences in the alien signals. They were using base 8 mathematics instead of human base 10, but the concepts were identical. Prime numbers were the same in any mathematical system. The speed of light was constant throughout the universe. These universal truths provided a foundation for basic communication. Jake faced the most difficult decision of his career. The alien ships were targeting his vessel with active weapon locks. His crew was ready for battle and waiting for orders. He could destroy the entire alien fleet in minutes with the Leviathan's massive firepower. But doing so would mean starting humanity's relationship with galactic civilization through violence and then destruction. The communication attempts began to show results. Dr. Turner managed to transmit a series of mathematical proofs to the alien fleet. The equations demonstrated human understanding of physics and mathematics. The aliens responded with their own mathematical sequences. Both sides were proving they were intelligent civilizations, capable of logical thought. Admiral Kethvar received the human mathematical transmissions with amazement. The equations were elegant and showed deep understanding of advanced physics. Some of the concepts were beyond current Cypherian knowledge. These humans were not a primitive species struggling with basic space travel. They were highly advanced beings with technology that challenged galactic understanding. The situation became more complicated when Kethver's sensors detected additional ships jumping into the system. War Commander Zeftok was arriving with reinforcements from the Zephyrian home fleet. Zeftok was an aggressive military leader who believed in showing strength to potential enemies. He had not received updated intelligence about the massive human warship. Zeftok's fleet consisted of 8 heavy cruisers and 20 escort vessels. They materialized from hyperspace in perfect battle formation. Their targeting systems immediately locked onto the Leviathan. The war commander saw only a single enemy ship surrounded by Admiral Kethvar's diplomatic fleet. He assumed the aliens had taken the admiral hostage or were threatening him. Jake watched the new arrivals with growing alarm. The second alien fleet was clearly military and had jumped in ready for battle. Their ships were larger and more heavily armed than the first group. Lisa reported that over 30 alien vessels now had weapons trained on the Leviathan. The tactical situation had become extremely dangerous. Dr. Turner continued his communication efforts with increased urgency. He had established basic mathematical dialogue with the first alien fleet, but the new arrivals were not responding to peaceful signals. Their transmissions were clearly military in nature and seemed to be demanding surrender or withdrawal. Breakthrough in communication came when Turner successfully transmitted the periodic table of elements. The aliens responded with their own version, using different symbols but identical atomic structures. Both sides now had proof they shared the same universe and the same physical laws. Complex communication became possible. Admiral Kethvar tried desperately to contact War Commander Zevtok. He needed to explain that the humans were attempting peaceful communication, but Zevtok was following standard military protocols. He saw a massive enemy warship threatening a Zephyrian diplomatic mission. His duty was to protect Admiral Kethvar, fleet and drive off the intruders. The crisis point arrived when one of Zevtok's ships fired a warning shot. The plasma bolt was aimed to pass in front of the Leviathan's bow. It was meant as a signal to withdraw from Zephyrian space. But the bolt struck the human ship's forward shields and disappeared in a brilliant flash of energy. Jake felt the ship shudder slightly as the plasma bolt hit their shields. The energy was absorbed completely, without any damage to the Leviathan. But the tactical display showed the alien weapon had been fired with lethal intent. Lisa reported that the shot would have destroyed any human ship smaller than a heavy cruiser. The alien fleets watched in shock as their warning shot did absolutely nothing to the massive human vessel. The plasma bolt that could penetrate most known armor types had been stopped completely by the human shields. The energy discharge had been absorbed so efficiently that the shields barely flickered. War Commander Zevtok stared at his tactical display in disbelief. His heavy cruiser's main gun had just fired at point-blank range. The shot should have severely damaged any known warship. Instead, the human vessel showed no signs of harm whatsoever. Its shields had not even been noticeably weakened by the attack. Jake realized he needed to demonstrate human capabilities before the situation escalated further. The aliens clearly did not understand what they were dealing with. A show of force might convince them to choose diplomacy over warfare, but he had to be careful not to destroy anyone or start a war between species. Lisa prepared the ship's defensive systems for a demonstration. The Leviathan carried thousands of point defense laser turrets designed to stop incoming missiles and fighters. These weapons were considered minor defensive systems by human standards, but they were more powerful than the main guns on most alien ships in the surrounding fleets. Dr. Turner managed to send a warning message to both alien fleets. His translation computers had improved enough to communicate basic concepts. He transmitted the human intention to demonstrate defensive capabilities without causing harm. The message included coordinates for a safe observation distance. The demonstration began with a simple activation of the Leviathan's point defense grid. Hundreds of laser turrets came online simultaneously. They targeted several large asteroids floating nearby in the nebula. The beams fired in perfect coordination and turned solid rock into glowing plasma in seconds. Both alien fleets watched the display with growing horror. The human ship had just casually vaporized asteroids using what appeared to be minor defensive weapons. The power output required for such destruction was beyond anything in their experience. They were not facing a primitive species. They were confronting a military superpower that had developed in complete isolation from galactic civilization. Admiral Kethvar finally understood the true magnitude of this first contact. His diplomatic mission had accidentally discovered a species with technology that could reshape the balance of power in known space. The humans possessed weapons and defenses that exceeded anything the galaxy had seen. This discovery would change everything. War Commander Zevtok watched the glowing remains of asteroids drift through space. His tactical officer confirmed what he already knew, but did not want to believe. The human ship had just demonstrated firepower that exceeded his entire fleet's capabilities. Those had been minor defensive weapons, according to the energy signatures. The implications were terrifying. Admiral Kethfor transmitted urgent messages to his aggressive counterpart. He explained that the humans were attempting peaceful communication and had only fired at asteroids to demonstrate their technology. But Zeftok was a military commander who understood only strength and weakness. He saw the demonstration as a threat that demanded response. Jake stood on the bridge of the Leviathan and felt the weight of history on his shoulders. The next few minutes would determine whether humanity's first contact with alien life led to friendship or war. The alien fleets surrounding his ship carried enough firepower to threaten a planetary surface. But Jake knew the Leviathan could destroy them all if necessary. Dr. Turner worked frantically to improve communication with both alien fleets. His translation computers had made significant progress. He could now transmit basic concepts and receive simple responses. The first alien group, led by Admiral Kethfor, seemed interested in peaceful dialogue. But the second fleet remained silent and threatening. Lisa monitored the tactical situation with growing concern. The larger alien fleet was moving into attack formation. Their ships spread out to surround the Leviathan from multiple angles. Standard military doctrine said they were preparing for a coordinated assault. She recommended that Jake authorize defensive measures. The bridge crew worked quietly but efficiently. Everyone understood they might be about to fight humanity's first space battle against alien forces. The weapon systems were ready. The shields were at maximum power. The armor could withstand tremendous punishment. But Jake hoped they would not need to test any of these systems against living beings. Engineer Commander Kate Morgan reported from the engine room. The quantum drives were operating perfectly and could provide emergency power if needed. The main reactors were stable and ready for combat operations. Her engineering teams had prepared damage control equipment in case the ship took hits. The Leviathan was as ready for battle as any vessel could be. War Commander Zeftok made his decision. The massive human ship represented a clear threat to Zephyrian security. Its weapons could devastate their fleets and threaten their home worlds. Standard military protocol demanded that such threats be eliminated before they could act. He ordered his fleet to attack. The first salvo came from 6 heavy cruisers firing simultaneously. Plasma bolts and particle beams converged on the Leviathan's hull from multiple directions. The alien weapons were designed to penetrate the strongest known armor and overwhelm any defensive systems. They struck the human ship with enough force to destroy a space station. Jake felt the ship vibrate as alien weapons hammered their shields. The defensive barriers absorbed the incoming energy and dispersed it harmlessly. The attack had been coordinated and powerful, but not nearly enough to threaten the Leviathan's advanced defensive systems. Lisa reported that shield strength remained. At 98%, the alien weapons fire continued for several minutes. Every ship in Zeftok's fleet participated in the bombardment. They threw everything they had at the massive human vessel. Missiles exploded against the shields. Energy beams struck the armor plating. Nuclear warheads detonated in brilliant flashes. The space around the Leviathan became filled with fire and destruction. Admiral Kethvar watched the battle with horror. His diplomatic mission had turned into a military disaster. The human ship was withstanding the combined firepower of one of the Zephyrian Navy's most powerful fleets. Worse yet, the humans had not returned fire. They were absorbing the attack and waiting. He feared what would happen when they finally responded. Jake had seen enough. The aliens had made their choice and attacked his ship without provocation. Standard military doctrine gave him the right to defend himself and his crew. But he also knew that destroying the alien fleets would doom any chance of peaceful relations between their species. He needed to find a middle path between surrender and total war. Dr. Turner transmitted a message to both alien fleets using his improved translation systems. The communication warned that the human ship would defend itself if the attacks continued. It also offered one final chance for peaceful dialogue. The message included mathematical proofs showing that humans understood the concepts of mercy and restraint. The alien bombardment finally stopped. Zeftak's fleet had exhausted their immediate ammunition supplies and needed time to reload. The war commander stared at his tactical display in disbelief. They had fired enough weapons to level a city, and the human ship showed minimal damage. A few scorch marks on the armor were the only visible effects. Jake ordered Lisa to prepare a response that would end the battle without destroying the alien fleets. The Leviathan's main guns could vaporize any ship in seconds, but that would guarantee war between the species. Instead, he decided to use the ship's mining lasers. These tools were designed for asteroid processing, but would serve as impressive weapons. The demonstration began with a single mining laser targeting a large asteroid cluster near the alien fleets. The beam struck the rocky debris and carved through it like a knife through paper. Tons of stone and metal turned to vapor in seconds. The laser continued cutting until it had carved the entire cluster into geometric shapes. Both alien fleets watched in stunned silence as the human ship casually reshaped solid rock using what appeared to be a utility beam. The precision was incredible. The power was overwhelming. They realized the humans had been holding back during the entire encounter. The weapons they had seen so far were probably the least dangerous systems on the massive vessel. War Commander Zeftak finally understood his mistake. His fleet had attacked a ship that could have destroyed them all in the first few seconds of combat. The humans had chosen not to retaliate despite having overwhelming superiority. They wanted peace, but were clearly capable of devastating warfare. If forced to defend themselves, Jake ordered his communications officer to transmit on all frequencies. The message was simple and clear, thanks to Dr. Turner's translation work. The humans wanted peaceful contact and scientific exchange. They had no territorial ambitions in this region of space, but they would defend themselves against any further attacks. Admiral Kethva immediately responded with his own transmission. He apologized for the military action and explained that War Commander Zeftak had acted without full information. The Zephyrian Collective wanted peaceful relations with humanity. He requested permission to board the human ship for formal diplomatic discussions. The tension in space began to decrease as both alien fleets powered down their weapons. The demonstration had achieved Jake's goal of ending hostilities without causing casualties. But he knew this was only the beginning. News of this encounter would spread throughout whatever galactic civilization existed beyond human space. Dr. Turner continued working to improve communication systems. He had established basic dialogue, but complex diplomatic discussions would require much better translation capabilities. He estimated it would take several days to develop adequate communication protocols for formal negotiations. Lisa reported that long-range sensors were detecting additional ships approaching the system. The newcomers appeared to be from different alien species based on their energy signatures and hull configurations. Word of the encounter was already spreading, and other civilizations wanted to investigate. Jake realized that the Leviathan had become the center of unprecedented diplomatic activity. His routine patrol mission had turned into humanity's first contact with galactic civilization. The decisions made in the next few days would determine his species' place in a universe they were only beginning to understand. The massive human warship hung in space, surrounded by alien fleets from multiple civilizations. Its presence had already changed the balance of power in this region of the galaxy. Every species that encountered the Leviathan would have to reassess their understanding of human capabilities and intentions. Jake looked out at the alien ships and felt both pride and responsibility. Humanity had proven they could defend themselves against any threat, but they had also shown restraint and wisdom in avoiding unnecessary violence. The galaxy was about to learn that humans were a species worth respecting and possibly fearing. The news traveled faster than anyone expected. Within 6 hours of the encounter, every major civilization in the galaxy had received intelligence reports about humanity's unexpected military capabilities. Quantum communication networks carried detailed sensor readings and tactical analyses across thousands of light years. The galaxy buzzed with discussions about the massive human warship that had appeared without warning. Admiral Patricia Hayes materialized on the bridge of the Leviathan through a quantum communication link. Her hologram flickered slightly as the signal traveled from Earth Command. She was the highest-ranking officer in humanity's deep space fleet and Jake's direct superior. Her face showed both concern and amazement as she reviewed the situation. Reports. Jake briefed Admiral Hayes on everything that had happened during the encounter. He explained the alien attack and the defensive demonstration that had ended hostilities. The alien fleets were now maintaining respectful distances while attempting to establish better communication. But more ships kept arriving from different species as word of the discovery spread. Admiral Hayes realized that this encounter had fundamentally changed humanity's position in galactic politics before they even knew galactic politics existed. Earth's leaders had always assumed humans were alone in the universe. Now they discovered not only that alien life existed, but that there was an entire galactic community with complex relationships and power structures. The Council of Species convened an emergency session on the neutral world of Proxima Station. Representatives from dozens of civilizations gathered to discuss the human revelation. The emergency meeting was only the third such gathering in over 200 years. Previous sessions had dealt with galaxy-wide threats like the robot uprising and the dark energy anomaly. Representative Vorthak of the Hegemony faction stood before the assembled delegates. He was a tall reptilian being with scales that changed color based on his emotions. Right now they showed deep purple, which indicated fear and concern. He argued that humanity represented a potential threat that needed immediate containment before they could spread throughout the galaxy. The hegemony controlled 40% of known space through military strength and economic pressure. They had maintained galactic peace for centuries by ensuring no single species could challenge their authority. The discovery of human technology threatened to upset this careful balance. Vorthak demanded that the Council authorize military action to limit human expansion. Other species disagreed with the hegemony's aggressive approach. The Ethereal Collective advocated for peaceful engagement and scientific exchange. Their representative was a being of pure energy contained within a crystalline shell. She argued that humanity's technological advances could benefit all species if properly shared and integrated. Dr. Turner worked closely with his alien counterpart science director Ulfine to establish formal communication protocols. The Zephyrian scientist was fascinated by human technology and eager to learn about their development path. Through their exchanges, humans began to understand the complex web of galactic civilization. The galaxy contained over 300 known species with various levels of technological development. Most civilizations had reached roughly similar technological plateaus. Energy generation, defensive systems, and propulsion technology had remained relatively stable for thousands of years. Human advancement in these areas was unprecedented. Trade networks connected star systems across vast distances. Territorial disputes were common, but usually settled through negotiation rather than warfare. The threat of mutual destruction had kept most conflicts limited to economic competition and diplomatic maneuvering. Large-scale wars had not occurred for over 500 years. Commander Lisa Brooks analyzed intelligence gathered from the alien vessels during their brief scanning exchanges. Human technology surpassed galactic standards in several critical areas. The Leviathan's power generation systems produced 5 times more energy than equivalent alien vessels. Defensive shields were nearly impenetrable by current galactic weapons. Human propulsion technology was also superior, though not dramatically so. The quantum drives allowed faster travel and more efficient fuel consumption. But the real advantage was in power systems and defensive capabilities. These technologies stemmed from humanity's unique development path in their isolated solar system. Earth's abundant resources and lack of external threats had allowed humans to pursue pure research without military pressure. Most galactic species had developed under constant threat from neighbors and had focused on immediate survival needs. Humans had the luxury of theoretical advancement, which led to breakthrough discoveries. The Leviathan became the center of unprecedented diplomatic activity as representatives from multiple species requested meetings. Captain Jake found himself serving as humanity's first galactic ambassador despite having no diplomatic training. Every decision he made could affect relations between species for generations. Admiral Cathvar had become humanity's strongest advocate among the alien delegations. His encounter with the Leviathan had taught him the value of accurate intelligence and careful diplomacy. He worked to counter the hegemony's aggressive rhetoric by emphasizing human restraint during their first meeting. War Commander Zeftok faced disciplinary action for attacking the human ship without authorization. His aggressive response had nearly caused a diplomatic disaster that could have led to widespread conflict. The Zephyrian military leadership used his example to emphasize the importance of proper intelligence gathering before military action. Dr. Turner established the first joint research project between humans and aliens. He worked with Althean to compare their species' scientific methodologies and theoretical frameworks. The exchange revealed that humans had taken unique approaches to several fundamental problems in physics and engineering. The technological differences were not just matters of advancement, but of philosophy. Galactic civilizations had focused on efficiency and resource conservation due to limited materials and energy sources. Humans had emphasized raw power and capability thanks to their abundant solar system resources. News of the encounter reached Earth and caused massive social upheaval. The revelation of galactic civilization transformed human society overnight. Religious leaders struggled to incorporate alien contact into their belief systems. Scientists demanded access to alien technology and knowledge. Military leaders prepared for possible threats from space. Political leaders on Earth faced the challenge of representing humanity in galactic affairs without any experience or knowledge of alien politics. They appointed Admiral Hayes as humanity's primary liaison while establishing new departments to handle diplomatic relations and intelligence analysis. The Galactic Council continued debating humanity's status and how to integrate them into existing power structures. The old balance between 3 major factions was now threatened by a 4th group with superior technology. Smaller civilizations saw opportunities to assert independence from traditional power blocks. Some species proposed immediate contact and alliance with humanity. Others wanted to maintain distance until human intentions became clearer. A few supported the hegemony's call for containment through economic pressure or military threats. The council remained deadlocked as different factions pursued their own interests. Jake received orders from Admiral Hayes to remain in position and continue diplomatic efforts. The Leviathan would serve as humanity's embassy until formal diplomatic protocols could be established. More human ships were being dispatched to reinforce their position and provide additional negotiating strength. The space around the Leviathan filled with vessels from dozens of different species. Each group wanted to establish contact and assess human capabilities for themselves. The massive human warship had become a symbol of change that would reshape galactic civilization. Long-range sensors detected movement throughout the galaxy as various species repositioned their fleets and adjusted their strategic plans. The discovery of human technology had triggered the largest military and political realignment in galactic history. Ancient alliances were being questioned, and new partnerships were being explored. Jake stood on the observation deck and watched the incredible variety of alien ships surrounding them. Some were elegant and flowing like works of art. Others were purely functional with obvious weapon systems. A few appeared to be constructed from exotic materials that defied human understanding of physics. The galaxy that had seemed so vast and empty now bustled with activity, trade, and political maneuvering. Humanity's accidental demonstration of military power had opened doors to opportunities and challenges beyond imagination. The next few months would determine whether humans became leaders, allies, or targets in this complex galactic community. 6 months had passed since first contact, and the galaxy looked completely different. Admiral Jake Morrison stood on the command deck of Neutral Zone Station Alpha and watched ships from dozens of species dock at the massive facility. The station had been built in record time as a joint project between humans and their new allies. It served as the diplomatic center for an increasingly connected galactic community. The TCS Leviathan floated nearby as the flagship of humanity's first diplomatic fleet. Jake had been promoted after his successful handling of first contact. His decisions during those critical first hours had prevented a war and opened the door to peaceful relations. Now he served as humanity's primary military liaison to the galactic community. Commander Lisa Brooks had been promoted to captain and now oversaw the construction of humanity's first galactic-class fleet. The shipyards in Earth's orbit worked around the clock-building vessels that incorporated both human innovation and alien technology. The new ships were smaller than the Leviathan, but packed with advanced systems learned from their galactic neighbors. The technological exchange had accelerated development across multiple civilizations. Human power generation systems were being adapted for use in alien vessels. Zephyrian shield harmonics improved human defensive capabilities. Ethereal communication technology allowed instant contact across vast distances. Every species contributed their strengths to the growing alliance. Dr. Turner now headed the Institute for Galactic Sciences, located on the Neutral Station. The facility housed researchers from over 20 different species, working on projects that benefited everyone. The collaboration had led to breakthroughs in faster-than-light travel, energy storage, and even basic life extension technologies. The initial shock of human military capabilities had evolved into respectful partnerships based on mutual benefit. The galaxy's major powers realized that cooperation with humanity was more profitable than conflict. Human technology could solve problems that had plagued galactic civilization for centuries. Admiral Kethver commanded a joint patrol fleet that included both human and Zephyrian vessels. The partnership had stabilized several border disputes that had threatened regional peace for decades. Pirates and smugglers found themselves facing coordinated responses from species that had never worked together before. The Galactic Council had undergone major restructuring to accommodate humanity's emergence as a major power. The old system, dominated by 3 primary factions, had been replaced by a more inclusive structure. Smaller civilizations gained representation and influence they had never possessed before. Representative Vorthok of the hegemony had initially opposed human integration, but eventually recognized the benefits of cooperation. The reptilian leader now worked closely with human diplomats on trade agreements and security arrangements. His scales had changed from warning purple to cooperative blue during most negotiations. War Commander Zeftok had been reassigned to a peaceful exploration mission as punishment for his attack on the Leviathan. However, his aggressive instincts proved valuable when his fleet encountered actual pirates threatening merchant vessels. He had become one of humanity's most effective military partners despite their rocky first meeting. Engineer Commander Kate Morgan led the development of next-generation vessels that pushed the boundaries of known technology. Her teams combined human engineering principles with alien material science and energy theory. The prototype ships emerging from her workshops amazed even veteran galactic engineers. Earth itself had been transformed by contact with galactic civilization. The planet now hosted embassies from dozens of species and served as a center for cultural exchange. Human art, music, and literature were spreading throughout the galaxy while alien influences enriched human creativity. The revelation of galactic civilization had united humanity in ways that centuries of conflict had failed to achieve. National boundaries seemed meaningless when faced with the vastness of space and the diversity of alien life. Humans worked together on galactic projects with unprecedented cooperation. Relationships had developed rapidly as different species discovered the value of human goods and services. Human entertainment proved surprisingly popular among many alien cultures. Sports competitions between species had become major galactic events that drew audiences from hundreds of worlds. Military balance in the galaxy had shifted dramatically. The hegemony's dominance had been broken by the introduction of human technology and the alliances it enabled. Regional powers could now defend themselves against aggression using human-designed defensive systems. Piracy and smuggling had decreased significantly as patrol fleets equipped with human sensors could detect previously undetectable ships. The improved law enforcement had made trade routes safer and more profitable for legitimate merchants. Economic growth had accelerated throughout most civilized regions. Scientific advancement had reached unprecedented levels through collaborative research. Problems that had challenged single species for centuries were being solved by teams that combined different perspectives and methodologies. The Institute for Galactic Sciences published breakthrough discoveries almost weekly. Admiral Morrison received reports from exploration fleets pushing into previously unknown regions of the galaxy. Human ships equipped with advanced sensors were discovering new worlds and even new forms of life. Each expedition expanded the boundaries of known space and brought new opportunities for contact and trade. The Leviathan had become a symbol of humanity's journey from isolation to galactic leadership. The massive warship that had shocked alien fleets now served as a peaceful flagship for diplomatic missions. Its weapons remained ready, but were used primarily for defensive demonstrations and asteroid clearing operations. Dr. Turner's communication protocols had evolved into a universal translation system used throughout the galaxy. Species that had never been able to communicate directly could now engage in complex negotiations and cultural exchanges. The language barriers that had limited galactic development for millennia were finally breaking down. Captain Brooks launched the first human-designed exploration vessel built specifically for galactic service. The ship incorporated lessons learned from 6 months of collaboration with alien engineers. It was faster, more efficient, and more capable than anything humanity had built before contact. The neutral station continued to expand as more species requested permanent diplomatic presence. The facility had grown from a simple meeting point to a small city in space. Markets, restaurants, and entertainment facilities served beings from across the galaxy in the first truly integrated galactic community. Long-range sensors detected new civilizations in previously unexplored regions. Each discovery brought fresh opportunities for contact and cooperation. The galaxy seemed to be growing larger and more diverse with every passing day. Humanity had opened doors to wonders beyond imagination. Jake stood before the massive viewport and reflected on how much had changed since that first encounter in the Kepler expanse. The Leviathan's accidental demonstration of power had evolved into leadership through strength tempered by wisdom. Humanity had proven that military might could create peace when combined with restraint and diplomatic skill. The observation deck filled with beings from dozens of different species. They worked together on projects that would have been impossible before human contact. The diversity was incredible, but the cooperation was even more remarkable. Ancient enemies had become allies united by common goals and mutual respect. A new exploration mission was being prepared to investigate reports of unknown civilizations beyond the galactic rim. The fleet would include ships from multiple species, equipped with the latest human and alien technology. Admiral Morrison would command the expedition from his flagship Leviathan, the massive warship prepared to depart Neutral Zone Station Alpha for humanity's next great adventure. The vessel that had once represented isolation now carried the hopes and dreams of dozens of civilizations. Its mission was to explore unknown regions and establish contact with whatever wonders waited in the darkness. The galaxy had been forever changed by humanity's arrival. Ancient power structures had crumbled and been replaced by cooperative alliances. Trade and communication flowed freely between species that had never trusted each other. Scientific advancement had accelerated beyond all previous records. As the Leviathan moved away from the station toward unknown space, Jake felt both pride and responsibility. Humanity had earned its place among the galactic community through strength and wisdom. But with that position came obligations to protect the peace and continue the exploration that defined their species. The stars ahead held infinite possibilities and challenges. Whatever they discovered in the unexplored regions would be faced by united civilizations working together toward common goals. The galaxy would never be the same, and humanity had proven that sometimes the most profound changes came not from conquest, but from the courage to reach out and discover what lay beyond the known.